Ladies and gentlemen, Gern Blanston.
Gaga, ah, 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 Roma, Roma, ma, Gaga, ooh la la.
Okay.
I first remember hearing about Lady Gaga somewhere around 2010 or 2011, and I remember... Wait, hold on a minute. Hey, you, voice of my inner monologue. Anything you want to chime in on before I get started with this thing? Haven't you been listening? I'm just about to get started, digging in on the music of Lady Gaga. And is there anything you feel compelled to tell me at this point? No, not particularly. Oh, okay. Well, good then. So, anyway, as I was saying, it was about 10 years ago that I started to... Were you expecting me to say something? Well, yeah, kinda. I mean, you had some dire warnings for me when I started to talk about Beyonce. And then again when I looked into BTS. And it just seems to me that they fall into the same category. I honestly was all prepared for another dressing down from my anxiety-ridden, approval-driven conscience. In what way exactly does Lady Gaga fall into the same category as Beyonce and BTS? Well, you know, pop sensations, trendsetters, known for more than just their music, large vocal fan bases. Well, yeah, I guess. But there's one major difference you're overlooking. Oh yeah? What's that? Lady Gaga fans, by and large, don't give a shit about what you think. Good point. You know, she did a duet album with Tony Bennett. Is that the one you're listening to? No, I decided to go with Fame Monster, which is like the 8 extra tracks from her first album that was eventually released as its own separate thing. I wanted to get right at the heart of her early popularity. Which reminds me, it was about 10 years ago when I first noticed... Man, that was impressive when she sang the anthem at the inauguration, wasn't it? No big cadenzas for once, right? Just a solid performance of the melody and that shifting rhythm that she used for the arrangement. It was pretty cool, right? Yeah, it was. So getting back to what I was saying, it was about 10 years ago that season she did of American Horror Story, where she played the vampire lady that lived in the hotel. That was pretty damn cool, too. Yes, it was. Look, about 10 years ago, I remember, you know, she was nominated for Best Original Song and Best Actress at the Oscars in the same year. For A Star Is Born. I'm going to go listen to Fame Monster now. Have fun.
I want your bad romance. I want your ugly. I want your disease.
Fame Monster. I'm conflicted, personally. My quarrel is the music itself. I mean, Fame Monster has 22 songs on it. It's a big album. Not all of them are gonna be great. Some of them do seem a little uninspired. Some of them do seem to be simplistic and kind of overused and just kind of mid, you know, what you would expect to hear in the radio in 2008.
You know, I had always heard that Lady Gaga had taken a few cues from Madonna, but I have to say there are times on this album when the resemblance is uncanny. Not just in the quality of her voice, though that's certainly part of it. Lady Gaga's voice is a bit more in her chest than Madonna's, but the vocal quality overall is remarkably similar. But there's also the musical choices, the song's arrangements and endings especially. For example, take a look at the second track, Alejandro, and tell me it doesn't sound at least a little familiar. Don't call my name, don't call then again on Dance in the Dark. The bridge of that song should definitely ring a bell for you as well. Work your blonde Benet Ramsey, will haunt like Liberace. Find your freedom in the music, find your Jesus, find your Kubrick, Greta Garbo and Monroe, Dietrich and DiMaggio, Marlon Brando, Jimmy Dean, on the cover of a magazine. Speaking of Dance in the Dark, the chord changes should also be pretty familiar to you, though in this case it's not for Madonna-related reasons. Heavy 80s influences aside, the main thing I found this first couple of spins of the Fame Monster is just how much silliness there was. Well, maybe silly isn't the right word. Maybe it's more like corny. I think that works better. In other words, she seems to make an awful lot of musical choices that I find more than a little difficult to listen to. Maybe it's cringy that I'm looking for. The whole na na pa pa intro to Bad Romance, for example. And then Alejandro, the second track. There's the Alejandro thing at the end of every chorus. Same with teeth, 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 the teeth. It's corny, right? And from what I've been able to research, I think she comes from a relatively well-off Catholic family from Manhattan. So what's with the effective Southern trailer trash accent on Speechless? Seems in poor taste. And of course, there's the ending to the chorus of Monster. He ate my heart. I love that girl. I ate my heart. Want to talk to her. She's hot as hell. Look, if you know me at all, you know I have a real hard time with cringe stuff. I mean, so much comedy these days, like Curb Your Enthusiasm, Arrested Development, The Office. They all seem to require you to find humor in the embarrassment or the discomfort of others. And I just can't. I've tried. It makes me itch. And those same parts of my brain seem to be activated by parts of this album. So I'm afraid that's what I have in store this week as I spend more time with the Fame Monster.
Want your everything. As long as it's free.
However, my dad and I talked a little bit before I filmed this, and he thinks that it is the worst album so far. I think he is dead wrong. Dead wrong. Putting Fame Monster in the context of 2008, Lady Gaga was a pioneer of music. You know, you had things like Bad Romance, Love Game, Telephone, Paparazzi, all just bangers. And she kind of paved the way for newer genres down the line. She was bold when no one else was being bold. And I think that's something that he's overlooking. I haven't seen the video, so I don't know what he's going to say. But something that I think he overlooked is just how much of an artist and an icon Lady Gaga is.
Okay. I think I did find a way to develop let's call it an appreciation for what I'm hearing. Not a fondness, not even necessarily a tolerance, but an appreciation. I think that word works best. See, I was alive during the disco era. Young kid. My mom remarried when I was like in first, second grade. And so all during the disco era, I was spending my time, with my family. And that meant my mom and my stepfather, John. And John was also a musician. He was a guitar player. He taught me my first chords on guitar. And what I remember of John's music is that he was primarily of the blues rock persuasion. Long dark hair and a mustache. When we moved to Nashville, I do know that he was doing some session work, but perhaps the thing he was best known for at that time was for being part of Rachel Sweet's band for the album that contained her cover of Everlasting Love, the duet she did with Rex Smith. And John, as a consequence, toured with Rachel Sweet, opening for Bob Seger. I bring all of this up just to set a scene, just to paint a picture of where I was during the disco era. I was 10 in 1980, so I was still in my single digits in terms of years lived on the planet. I was living in Nashville with a blues rock session guitarist, So I think it probably goes without saying that the whole disco sucks thing resonated pretty strongly in our household. And it makes me uncomfortable to say that because I know in hindsight that the whole disco sucks thing, at least a part of it, had its roots in misogyny and homophobia. This is something I'm still coming to terms with. I mean, it's part of my past. There's nothing I can do about it now, and I certainly didn't have much in the way of agency to understand the political nuance of this. It's just, that wasn't the music we liked. So I felt like I was on board with it. I still don't know if I would call myself a disco fan, but I am 100% in support of any artistic community that fosters a feeling of inclusion and representation for folks that otherwise feel marginalized, whether I dig that music or not. And so that brings me around to the Fame Monster, because I think what I'm hearing on this album is modern disco. And I think the term modern disco fits more than just in the attitudes of the persona that Lady Gaga embodies. I think musically you can draw a real comparison to a four-on-the-floor groove, anchoring lush arrangements of songs that are ultimately about personal empowerment and a good amount of hedonism. So yeah, it might not be that I enjoy it, because I still cringe a lot listening to this album. But I think appreciate, that's the word. I have an appreciation.
So, my review, the album itself and the music within the album, there are some really good highs and there are some really low lows, but overall, not the worst album so far by a wide margin. Okay.
I want your love. Love, love, love. I want your love. Oh, hey. I want your drama. The touch of your hand. Hey. I want your leather-studded kiss in the sand. I want your love, 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 love. I want your love.